Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tari Hope Institute in Tari, Hela province. As we celebrate the United Nations 75th anniversary and 45 years of the United Nations in Papua New Guinea, we are hosting forums live from each region of the country. These forums invite Papua New Guineans to a conversation on what has been achieved and, more importantly, what is still to be done to achieve a just and peaceful society for all. For our first panel, Experiences in Peacebuilding invites panelists from Hela to lead a conversation on the experiences and peace and conflict in the Highlands and the challenges facing the communities. So our first panel discussion is here at Hope Tari Hela province. We have 4 panel members. Firstly, on my far right, we have Sergeant Alice Ariko. She's a police sergeant with the officer in charge with the Hela Provincial Family Sexual Violence Unit. Next to her is Mr. James Komenke, a pioneer member of the Youth Ambassadors for Peace program, promoting reconciliation between tribal and fighting parties in Hela. He's also been heavily involved with voluntary work with humanitarian partners in both man-made and natural disasters. He's currently, he'll give a brief on himself a bit later on. To my left, we have Miss Mary Michael. Mary has been an advocate for peace in the community. She's been involved heavily with during peace processes in the past years, and she'll be sharing some of her experiences. And to the end, we have Manu Pet. He's a youth leader in his community, and he'll also be sharing some of his experiences in some of the activities that he's been involved in with youths, and especially in terms of sports. So to kickstart our discussions, this is basically a open discussion. We got our listeners tuning in live from both in Hela, in PNG, and also abroad. So they'll be sending in questions, and whenever questions come in, and that any one of us will interact with them live. So I just have one question to start off with. I think I can start off with Mr. Komenke. James, you have been heavily and actively involved in a lot of peace building work in the province. When we talk about peace building, well, firstly, those who don't know Hela, Hela's been involved in a lot of has been entangled with a lot of disasters lately, both natural and man-made disasters. So, James, in some of the work that you've been doing in communities, especially with your involvement with Yap and now your partnership with the FAO in delivering some of the work in the communities, could you share some of your experiences and in the work that you do and how it has contributed to peace building in Hela, please?
Thank you. Firstly, violence is widespread. We have violence that we consider, we have tribal fights that we think as the most common in Hela, but we have other forms of violence that happens that's not exposed. And it's probably because of the culture, the Hela culture, that suppresses the issues that affect certain members of our communities, like women and children. And the activities of men tend to be promoted and exposed, so we have heard so much about tribal fights. But generally in Hela, we have a lot of issues related to violence. I have been involved with the Young Ambassadors for Peace program, and we have, in 2018, after an 18-month program, delivered a successful program that has promoted reconciliation between tribal fighting parties. Total 105 years of fighting between 16 major conflicting parties, and deaths before 2008 was 85 lives. In recent times, the tribal fights that has happened, the numbers of lives that are lost have exceeded over 400 deaths. And the number of deaths have increased due to the introduction of guns, weapons, and So
So fighting is, the ways of fighting have evolved in the province.
the ways of fighting have been have evolved, and that it has advanced with the use of firearms, and there's massive lives lost. From 2008, we've seen 85 lives in 16 major tribal fights, but going now we have a lot of lives lost. So yeah, there's a lot of issues we have. And the sad thing is that issues about women and children and those other forms of violence are not surfaced. They don't come out.
Sure.
We keep on talking about tribal fights.
I think I'll just ask a general question here to any of the panel members. Like, Manu, you can share your experience from the community that you came with, but the three panel members who work here in Hela, or work and even live here in Hela, would you say that you feel safe in Hela, in general?
To be honest, as a local person here, I've lived in and around the country for some time, more than 20 years. But coming back to Hela, I feel I'm not living in my own home.
Sure.
So people can say it's safe, it's safe, but lately I think in the 1990s, late 2000, it was a little bit okay, but in 2008 and 9, 10, people have not been living safely in their homes, especially women and children.
That's
I
right.
think the men, they've been taking arms and they can fight back whoever that comes across and attacks them, but women and children have been so vulnerable, and it's been so much living in fear. And I, as a local person here, to be honest, I should say, it hasn't been safe for women to, especially women and children, to move around, live freely in our own homes.
True. Anybody with any differing views, or
I would,
Mary? Yes.
I'm seeing a big difference from 2000 still to this to 2020.
Yes.
20 years different. I can see a difference from the years that we move forward.
That's right.
And then with that, even a small thing with fear, but less fear.
That's right.
Moving into it, small, many trouble things coming up with different types of weapons
Yes.
coming up. So then we start to build ourselves with fear. A lot of fears is built by women, especially the children and mothers.
So we can say the years before the year 2000, it was a lot different from what it is now in Hela.
Yes.
So true. All right, follow-on question from that. If you were to define peace in your own words, what would be peace to you, and what would be the definition of peace to you, and the definition of an ideal peaceful society to you, or peaceful community to you? James?
It would be difficult to try to, let's look at it as the process we need to go. Because I would like us to look at how we travel down there so we can understand, and the process will have to be for us to, the challenge would be for us to try to restore the direction we've gone back.
That's right.
And if we look at the direction Hela has gone, we've started going down this path by changes in government policies
Yes.
that have not funded the basic vital services that people in Hela as well as other provinces have needed.
That's right.
So we've had basic services closing down. So for instance, like the Hawa CIS
Yes.
was closed more than 20 years.
Yes.
And the hospitals were not up to meeting the needs of people. Education services, basically all the vital basic services had sort of run down.
Yes.
And the people of Hela who needed those basic services
Yes.
were then forced to adopt to meet their needs. So they have adopted wrongly,
True.
yeah, to meet their needs of justice, health, education, and the effort is good now. We're trying to restore that with the government effort to
Yes.
like open up Hawa, improve the education and health services and all that. But what we've done is we've taken people down that direction, we've left them down there, we are not taking them back.
True.
So for us to have peace is like we are restoring basic vital services, we also take back people to
So-
where we were in the past.
That's right. So one of the contributing factors to why we have so much lawlessness in our communities is a breakdown in service delivery in our communities, we can say. It's because successive governments over the past years have, government services have deteriorated. It has contributed to some of the, lawlessness that we see in our province. So probably a peaceful society moving forward would be to have restore most of these services so people can, feel some comfort in their communities.
We've experienced structural failures.
Yes.
So basic vital service structures fail, and we have individuals becoming suppressed, depressed, and
Yes.
oppressed. They have withdrawn.
Yes.
Some committing suicide. Some people resorting to drugs and alcohol, and then we have community violence that's happening,
Yes.
community destruction happening, and so communities engaging in violence.
Yes.
And so these are the common things we are seeing in Hela. And it's basically because basic service structures have failed, and we've left people to restore to their basic needs differently, and they've responded that way.
Okay, thank you, James. One very important discussion that I'd like for us to have is on the work that Sergeant Alice is doing in terms of family and sexual violence and the work that you're doing. But before we get to you, I'd just like to go over to Manu. Manu is a youth leader in his community. He's been heavily involved with youth activities in his community and especially in terms of sports. So Manu, please. You story lili lo side view. Mi haremos you pogi planti work on them all youths na side view sports na lana. You also have a slogan that you use when you run your programs. I stand for peace. Peace.
Yes.
Now you elaborate lili na you story lili lo side view.
As a elite in my community, back in my community, I use rugby league as a mechanism of revenue for campaign for peace among in our society. As an individual, I was attached to UN agency like UNFPA to get support and help, and also from my community members and also from the other rugby players to promote a campaign for peace and harmony in our community.
Yes, that's very encouraging. So, from your experience, sports has been a tool that you've used to change the mindsets of youths in your communities and to participate in through positive living and other activities.
Yes. Why I've used sport is because in our province, back in especially in Papua New Guinea, we love rugby most. So
Yes.
when we play rugby, I want to use rugby as a tool to campaign for peace. So if we do more campaign and put more support into rugby league and help our young people, I think we can create some changes.
Thank you, Manu. All right. Another prominent injustice in our society is gender-based violence. So, I think the best person to talk about this is Sergeant Alice Ariko. You work as the officer in charge of the family and sexual violence unit at the Tari Police Headquarters. Gives you a lot of experience on the work surrounding that. So, please, can you tell us a little bit about the work that you do and on a daily basis? Could you run us through it? On a daily basis, when a woman walks through your office and reports on a sexual assault, and how do you guys go about trying to address that?
Before I go on with the work that I do, can I say a little bit on peace? In my young age, in the late 70s and 80s, 90s, I think we lived very peacefully with our parents. I could move around in the evenings. I can go and fetch water. I can go to another village. But there was peace. So as time changed, I think this modernization, social issues that affected not just Hela province or my village or in Tari, but as globally. I think that's it's affecting us Hela as well. So before the fathers, they fought with bows and arrows, or they could even say, well, they say peace, that's peace. They stop the fight. But now there's a generation that they don't listen, and they're fighting with guns, with arms that we don't have in Hela. I don't know how it's been imported into Hela, but that's an issue we can find peace now with this generation. So that's my father's generation. They use bows and arrows, and once they say stop fight, they stop fight, and there's peace and there's compensation. But the generation after us, there's a lost generation in between there that's doing things that that we've never seen before. And then we can fight peace, and we are saying, who's going to bring peace, or who's going to say peace? No one's putting their hands up and say, let's have peace and talk about peace and do something to have the people live peacefully in the communities. So I see that's something this generation is doing that that people we can understand. Probably it's the social issues that's affecting.
So the mindsets of people have changed over the years, you could say.
Especially the young people. So that's how I see from our generation, our fathers.
Yes.
We had peace in the villages and we could move around freely, the women and children. But not this generation now. That now we are all here to trying to address peace in our community.
So at least when a woman comes to you and reports on sexual violence, what are some of the roadblocks that they face in trying to get justice in your experience?
Okay. Before 2013, when the law was not introduced on family and sexual violence unit, they say gender-based violence or family sexual violence is a family problem or it's a family issue. So once it's been reported to the police station, they say you go back on something for family or something for family, it's not go threaten the house.
That's
right. But when the law was passed, the parliament, now we have set up police stations. At the police station, we have family sexual violence unit set up in all the provinces, which in Hela has created in 2014. So they started to, once we said there's a office there for women and children to come and express or complain to the police. That's where we started listening to them, and then that's where there's justice for women and children.
So you've worked in other provinces, and you decided to come back and work in your own province, and you probably you initiated the setup of the FSV in the province. Can you say that?
That's right. There was no family sexual violence unit here.
Yes.
But I was working in community policing.
Yes.
But when I saw the need of the women that were trying and coming to the police station was in big numbers, and I couldn't ignore it.
Okay.
So I put my hands up and I said, I had to sit down and listen to these women that were coming in, and I had to do something.
I'll ask the other panel members the same question. What are some of the barriers that, in your experience, you see? What are some of the barriers that you see, when time all mama was mamlol paidimolo or some heavy number na or like I'm reporting it's like I know when is is it the culture or is it because of the small porretos and all family by turning back na bakarami molo? What are some of the barriers that stop him all there? All can come out na reporting cloud something. We start with money then come this way.
As for me as a youth in a community and also I witness many violences in a family. So most of the time women get hurt and beaten by their husband, but they cover it up.
Yes.
Or I didn't them lonely or the lesbian only special report. That's why I say sometimes it's culture. So very much our related man. Even though man fighting very much our related man must have that. So don't you have a silent culture and very much light expert.
Yes.
So culture is one of the barrier to I think it's very
Culture is a barrier. Mary, do you have something?
Yes, I do have something additional.
Yes.
one of the things is a fear, the thought that their husband will in return belt them up or kill them. That's the fear that the women.
So they're afraid of their husbands.
They're afraid of the husband, so they will not report to the police or the law and decision making.
And they just accept what
They
happens to
just
them.
accept what they happen, the fear of the husband.
Wow.
And then sometimes, often they got angry and then going back to the same family again. So the fear of the family type as well, because
That's
they might abuse them, discriminate them. So they feel ashamed of that too. So they let it happen this way. Let it happen. I continue this thing. And then I think one time I have a counseling for these people. And what they call me, I have no money for a long distance there, but they don't ever see services where the evidence service is available in the district too. So they doesn't know where the evidence is, what the role they does there,
That's right.
and who is there, and the transport is one of the interventions there too.
Hindrances, yeah.
Yes, interventions. So they're not able to come up there. But probably, as I've said, most cultural, but some they doesn't know where to go to. Where the services are
There's no
available.
avenues for them to go to, share their grievances and report to, yeah. James, please. Close up on this.
I think one of the big issues is the systems and structures we have in place that helps address these issues.
It's not there.
Yeah, we need to know who are the welfare officers in the province. Yeah, addressing family issues. These many women are coming up with problems. They don't know where to go. They would go back and they would resort to talking to their own families and promoting conflicts, confrontations and all that. And that happens. We also need to have, like right now we have the Family Sexual Violence Unit, she is there, but we need full support of law enforcement. It needs to be effective. We also have issues of men. The village court system is dominated by men. And men tend to respect the opinions and the authority of other men. So the voice, the views, the opinions of women are suppressed, so
yeah.
women get depressed. And so that's another thing that's happening in the villages. Yeah, so women's voice are suppressed in a typical Hela culture where men tend to be above the women. Yeah, so it just needs better management system within our province.
Good. Thank you. Let me move on to Mary.
Can I just sum it up?
Oh,
That's
please,
a right
please.
question that
Alice,
was
I think
asked.
that's, that's a question that falls directly under your responsibility, so please.
There's a lot of women and children dying in silence, and suffering in silence. It's, every day, the few that come to the police station, it's just tip of an iceberg. Hela is so scared of. It's so scared of that few that can afford to come to the police station, they come and report. If they can afford a bus fare, or if they can afford to come. But otherwise,
There's a lot of cases
there's a lot of cases that are not reported.
that are not reported.
Yes. So a lot of times women don't come because they are being threatened, and they are going back to the same house, the same family. They've been violated the same second time, the third time, fourth time. So you see, no one thinks about
They
what.
just accept it as a
That's
norm.
right.
Yeah. Okay, Mary, you have had extensive experience in terms of peace building. One experience that stands out is a tribal fight that happened some years back, I think in the Takali LLG, and you played a very important part in trying to bring peace between the two warring factions. So that's something that we would really like to hear from you, and how you managed to, in the Hela society, mostly it's the men who fight, and it's mostly the men who mediate and solve the problems themselves. But you managed to break those barriers and mediate for the men. So please, if you can share that experience, it would really help us to understand how we can move forward in trying to solve some of these problems.
Thank you. That was, I'll just have a bit of a briefing in 2018, 2008. 2008 has been a Takali fighting with the Pujero to Pujero clan. Hela, President Hela, from Hela. And Hungary, there was one of the a major tribal fight, and then a lot of men died on both sides. Even the children died too. A mother died too. And then at that time, we have an organization called Yap, Young Ambassador for Peace, and they have engaged us to facilitate a peace mediation called Win-Win Approach Mediation. And we've gone through that mediation, and with 10 from both parties dead, with 16 and 8 major tribal owners, and then minor 8, and total of 16 fights. So I was the one woman among the men team, council and leaders, and we mediated issue. And then that trouble, it's supposed to be carried forward, but when we mediate, our mediation skills were approached as a way the win-win approach. We don't have to be a favor to another party or the other party. Both parties has to be compromised to a solution, agree to the solution. And that method, the tool we've been using, and these two parties, they're doing a business now. They're not here anymore. They're living in freely. But recently, 2012, 2016, we connected up to some fights coming up. The two parties, land over land. Fighting always happens for three things: land, women, and pig. Those are the values the Hela man has. And anything happens against those three, those their values, that they have to fight for it, the rights for that.
They trigger the fights,
yes, they trigger the fights. But those, as I have said in 2000 and way back, that triggered a fight with the bows and the arrows only, or hand, or yelling. But those are only means of fighting triggers they have. But going forward from 2020 to 2020, 2000 to 2020, they triggered the gun. And we don't know where the gun came from.
Guns came from.
The ammunition came from. And then those are new things that have been introduced to our province. And those are new things and new cultures, new norms of handling a gun too. And since they were young, the age between 2000 and in between the 2020s, those are very teenage, very active, very productive age group. And by the time there's a lawyer or a graduate from one of the higher institutions, or people graduate with one highly profile, professional backgrounds. But nowadays, they're pulled back and they're pushed back with these arms and they're way back. And we leave them behind. As Sergeant has said, yes, we have said, as lawyer said, we said these pools of the age groups are pulled back.
So children who were born during that time and who were raised during that time, during the period of fighting, are now the productive age, but because they missed out on a lot of those opportunities in terms of going to school and getting an education and finding a job, they are now in the communities causing a lot of the problems.
Yes, that's why they're involved in a lot of social issues, so barana, impro, stealing, on the street hijack, and then men services have all gone. They don't know where to go. Even the productive age girls too, they're not taught. Mothers hasn't been teach them where to go, education, life skills. They don't know what to do. So that's why the child in between those years are left behind.
So Mary, from that experience in 2008 when you mediated the fight, you have now become like a woman leader in terms of conflict resolution and mediating for peace between warring parties and stuff. So other panel members, in other communities, have you guys also witnessed the same, and are there examples of other women who are also taking leadership roles too?
I just do an input on this experience. It was a test we set up during that mediation in 2008. We had these 16 major tribal fighting parties that came up, and we were doing a 1 month, 18 months process. And eventually we came up with a major peace declaration on the 2nd of November 2008. But this particular conflict was, we purposely put her in charge. We were all there, but we purposely put her in charge to lead the mediation. We wanted to see how men were responding to women leading peace efforts. And hey, permanent peace right now. One of the opponents is a LG president in Takali, current, and one of the other is married happily and he's doing business and living here. So women were leading. This is an example of how women can promote peace. It also is an example of the efforts we have in isolated in Hela. You know, there's so many champions around here. We hear only of a few tribal fights that are promoted by individuals who have their own interests.
Sure.
But there are genuine champions scattered throughout Hela who are promoting peace. Yeah, they're promoting peace out there. We don't know. But this is an example of one of that effort. And they are like the village court people who are doing it, the police are doing it, the soldiers are doing, you know, everyone, the parents are doing, people are doing that. But going back to what we said about this generation,
Yes.
it's been like more than 20 years, you know, basic service structures failed. So people were left to try to adapt to, you know, take their basic needs. They've lost faith in the medicines. They've lost faith in the police operations. The Hawa was closed. So those who should have been behind bars were left out there with the arms. So they were torturing people. They were terrorizing people. They thought they were superior than the law that was there. So they grew up under homes that were wrecked, torn apart. They didn't go to school. Schools weren't operating well. So after 20 years, those who were children are now the active, productive generation of Hela. And the evidence is here. They could not participate in the LNG project when it was coming in, you know, like the last few years ago. Why? Because we haven't been educated.
And they didn't
Yeah.
have the skills, you know.
And the evidence is here in the villages. You go and talk to this generation, and when you talk to them, they are not able to communicate. They are able to only argue, and then they're able to confront and throw a weapon at you, use a Mercedes. They are not educated. They're traumatized people. There's been violence all over the place. That this generation that is currently active and productive is a traumatized generation. That's how we are.
We are also traumatized.
The issue we have here is a psychology
right.
situation. It's a medical situation.
That's right.
And it's all the time, you know, the soldiers are doing a good job. We don't have a strategic approach. Individuals are doing their effort, but it's been all isolated and it's so scattered, we are not able to measure the progress we are doing in Hela.
So the government, as well as different organizations, have been in Hela, have tried to advocate for peace, but there's been no collaboration between those partners, if we can say.
We need a body-
Everybody's been working in parallel.
Seriously, we need to collaborate this so that it needs to be coordinated. Everyone is a victim, therefore everyone is responsible for peace. I'm a victim of tribal fight. This lady here that was fighting in Tikita, she had to flee into Hagen and she came back. Sergeant Ariko lost her home, bent down. We are all victims. I received arrow wounds. We are all victims. Peace building is everybody's business.
right.
The thing is, we are all scattered. There is no coordination body that's coordinating every effort. We are not measuring our progress forward. Yeah.
And even if there are people doing a good job behind the scenes, there's no avenues where these good stories can go out. For people to hear that, you know, for so long in Hela, all the bad stories about Hela have been going out. There's a lot of good things happening. You know, we have champions of peace seated here right in front of us, even on this panel. We've got women leaders who advocate for peace in the communities, but there's been no avenues for them to tell their stories to the whole world even, or even to development partners or people who want to help and come, help our communities here. So there's been no avenues to tell those stories. Probably there are people and there are avenues to tell all the bad stories. You know, I don't know who to blame. Should we blame, social media? Should we blame the mainstream media? Or should we blame ourselves for not putting those stories out there? But there are champions of peace in the province, but those stories haven't been going out there. So I hope that, through this forum also, this is an opportunity for us to tell the world positive stories about Hela and some of the good work that a lot of people are doing and changes that are happening in Hela. So thank you, James. I think you just summarized basically everything that we wanted to talk about. If you can just touch a little bit about the work of the Yap program that you guys are doing. I think 3 of you panel members have been involved in that program, and you guys really have to get that message out. So if you can share a little bit on that, maybe 1 or 2 minutes.
It was a program that started in 2001, and it was during a period when there was widespread violence across Asia and Pacific. In Papua New Guinea was in Bougainville and in Hela. So a workshop was conducted, volunteers were brought in together, and over the last many years, we trained a lot of people. And skills to transform people in conflict to be people who can transform to be peace leaders, make peace themselves. And we've seen them transform and go back into communities and live peacefully. So we have programs here in Hela. Our grandfathers had tribal fights. they would always come out of it. Yeah, we have problems, we come out of it. There's a way of making peace here in Hela. We also have programs like Yap. We have the village court system. We have the police, the defense, education institutions, health institutions. Everybody is building peace there, you know. But our efforts are not coordinated. We need to coordinate those. It is also important, and it's very, very important that we have the United Nations presence in Hela. I think one of the things has been that coordination. Yeah.
Right.
So with your presence here, you're already working with us in making peace. You know, we are with the FAO. We promoted the SEEDS programs. Yesterday, I went into a community where there were 15 displaced mothers. These 15 displaced mothers were not receiving support, and they were getting harassment and threats and all that stuff from communities. You know, so there are people scattered around like that. But there are people, Christians in the communities, who are also helping them, protecting them.
Thank
There
you,
are peace
James.
builders all over the place.
I know you're very passionate about the work you're doing, and we'll cover some of those topics later on. But if I can move on to Manu, talking about youths. We've been speaking about violence in our communities, but if you can share through your experience some, you involved in sports programs in your community, which involves youths, and how has those programs that you run in your communities helped towards, dropping the level of violence, if there's any, in your community?
Thank you very much. I would want to recommend, say thank you to Margaret as
Mary.
Mary as a woman rep. You may look at us all man doesn't look solving problem now. Okay, you James to talk lo Mary involved lo making peace building na. Why not even put them all youths coming here? Youths them all backbone lo community blame, backbone lo village blame, backbone lo country blame. Put them all coming here lo some leadership role. Put them all coming here lo some or decent. Lo injel community level blame, injel provincial level blame. Okay, mi usim lo side lo miet mi usim rugby sports o semam lo tour lo mechanism lo campaign lo peace building lo injel lo province am lo sem because all one age lo mi one peer lo mi now all trouble fight na conflict am ave ino labon mama lo place making ino papa lo place making am all young lo magi o sem age lo mi all making fight so we'll change that. And me was starting to meet and I'm changing on the work that youth. So as for me, as me looking more bigger responsibility, lo claims la role, lo changing mindset lo narlam.
Thank you, Manu. As they say, you can't do the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result. You'll always get the same result. So from experience in all of our communities, you may look at them. We're a male-dominated community, so over the trouble to all man's a cosim. Over straight plus straight to all man's a straight. Now you miss a continuous kind of start. I think trying to take a different approach by involving our mothers, the women, and especially the youths who can relate to each other, because those are the age group or the bracket that, either if we don't set them in the right direction, they are the ones who are eventually going to end up causing most of the problems in our community. So thank you, Manu, for sharing that. Now I'll just read something here. This year the UN conducted a global survey asking people about their hopes and concerns for the future. 815 people from Hela completed that survey, and the results that came out, in summary was this. From the UN 75 results, armed conflict and politically motivated violence is more of a concern for the people in Hela than it is normally or globally. What do you think of that? Now this could be a very sensitive topic, but this is a topic that needs to be discussed and addressed. It's happening, in our not only in our province, but probably we can say in most of the Highlands provinces. Politics has been, over the years it has taken root in our society, and it has become, the cause of a lot of problems in our society. So, what are your views on that? According to the survey, it says that armed conflict and politically motivated violence is more of a concern for the people in Hela. Would you agree with that, and why? If we can start with Alice, please.
If the people are speaking for themselves, that's what they say. Majority, they say that that's politically motivated. But the root cause of a lot of the tribal fights here Hela, they say we fight for women, land, and pig. That's what they say, but a lot of the fights, a lot of it is some few not good reasons.
That's right.
A lot of it's land issues.
That's right.
But when people are saying politically motivated, probably when there's the fight going on, there's no intervention by politicians. I mean.
Politicians.
Yeah. They don't care about the people that voted them to be in that office.
Right.
So they're saying probably they have a reason why they're not, coming to intervene when people are suffering.
When there's problems. Yes.
And there's a lot of arms coming in, arms and ammunition. And they're saying, little people in the villages, where do they have the money to buy these arms and ammunition?
That's
and
right.
how they are bringing to Hela.
That's right.
So they've witnessed, or they're hearing, or they're assuming that people with money, and they think that's the politicians.
That's right.
So that's what the story, they're telling the story themselves here, so.
They're only sharing what they're actually experiencing.
That's right.
So, if we can say that the methods of tribal fights has changed from bows and arrows and now into guns, and probably the reasons why they're fighting probably would also change from pigs, women, and land traditionally. Probably now we can even include politics into that, and that could be one of the reasons why there's violence in our communities. So please, Mary.
I think there's a lot of contribution to these tribal issues in Hela. I think one part of it is politics too. Marijuana, humpu, stealing, pickpocket, abuse, domestic violence, and then mainly I would say I interview a young guy. I interview why you fight, and then in the first round I solved the problem and already you compromised and you pay the compensation. Why you fight again? Now I put this person into the jail. This is a typical example I'm giving. I put the person, the thief, in the jail, and then that the owner of the pig has some money, so he bailed out with the money and done a bribery to the policeman there. And then I don't have a lot of brothers. My mother carried me on one boy or two boys. For him, he has a lot of brothers, so I have to fight for my right for my family. So he fought. That's why I said a lot of contributing factors to trouble issues in Hela. Not in particular in three things. These three things it's a values of Hela that we call a value for Hela has to fight an ownership of these three things. But apart from these new things, new norms, just moving in between 20 years and plus years there, which we don't have the good strategy to manage, which we don't have the good plan to manage those things. Those marijuana is a new thing, we don't have a policy. This humper is a new thing, we don't have a policy. Customary, even in the customary and legal policies, we don't have new policies for all of these new some of these social issues are rising. True. But in the customary way of solving an issue, we have a policy for the three things. Those are their values. But those new coming up, we don't have a policy to solve these issues. So one typical example, if there's a hijack on the way of this peace loving, maybe on the court case area or in a jail area, right. Bribery is happening in between, and an decision-making body, village court or a leader there, I'm giving this one, so you make a good decision for me. What would you, in a situation, you put yourself in a situation, and how would you feel?
So there could be avenues in the traditional setting to solve this type of problems, but probably in the stage that we are now, people don't feel comfortable to go to the courts to sort their problems, so they take it out in the villages.
Let me just come in here. What I understand about politics is about influence. So given the kind of culture we have, the contemporary culture in Hela is one that has gone mixed up with the modern and the traditional. And we've had so much influences coming in as well. Which means we have so much influence. Yeah. And then, and because of that long period of exposure to too much of violence and all that, people are using everything they can to sustain life. Guns have become a business, We have what's called higher gun services. Yeah, you don't hear it, maybe you're hearing it now. Okay, we have higher gun services. Guns are being hired, yeah. And let me tell you another thing. A gun is a survival kit in Hela, yeah. So every time there's some shouting happening in the dark somewhere, somebody, whether they're sleeping naked or just with pants, they would go first for a weapon, yeah, before our torch or their clothes. So that's the state we are in, you know. So I guess the challenge is tribal fights have always been here. We would find solutions to it. Yeah. The other issue is how do we get rid of guns? You know, that has increased the number of deaths and that's causing massive destructions. How do we get rid of that?
There's I think from the discussions, you know, we can all agree that there's a lot of issues, you know, affecting our communities in Hela, especially in terms of tribal fights and lawlessness in our communities. But, you know, nobody will come and change what's happening in Hela. We will change Hela ourselves. It's the people sitting on the panel here. It's through the work that we're doing, you know, in partnership with, obviously with partners and with the government. But it's individuals within the communities who become, you know, agents of change who will change. So I'll start with Alice. From your experience in the work that you do and from some of the stories that you've told us, what do you think is the way forward for Hela now? What do you think we should do as a province, as individuals and as a province to change what is happening in Hela and especially in our communities?
All right, with sexual violence and gender-based violence, I would recommend a way forward for. There needs to be a lot of awareness and education in the community on the law, Family Protection Act. Because the Family Protection Act is not just for family, but the Welfare, Child Protection Act, the Lugatin Pikinini Act. That's crippling a lot of the system in Hela. And a lot of people need to know this law, because most of the time in the office I'm sitting there, I'm educating people. I'm telling them, everyone wants to, when someone has been arrested, the whole tribe wants to come to the police station. I think you all have witnessed that. And said, oh, I'm a leader, I'm a cousin, I'm a brother, I want to say something. You say, okay, come in. And then I've been telling them to go start arresting people, but then I changed that. I've changed that and I said, I think all of you need to know the laws. So I do a lot of awareness and education in my little office. So I would recommend, I think it's a joint effort for all agencies. The government, especially the provincial government, needs to have the family welfare office in place, because when they hear that, the women hear that this is a woman's office, they're thinking that it's a welfare office, that's a children's office, there's, you know, everything. So everyone comes to my office for all women's issues. So I try to help wherever I can, but I tell them, I'm a police officer, I enforce the law, but I don't give, I'm not a welfare officer. So I try to refer them to the, you know, family support center or the referral pathways we have, especially welfare officers and child protection officers. We really need to have them at the provincial government office so that they can get that service. Otherwise, I'm bogged down with everything that they're coming for women issues.
Sure.
And we need a lot of awareness and education on family and sexual violence, gender-based violence.
So I think one of the challenges that can be highlighted is that even if, you know, victims want to come and report, you know, gender violence, family members and the community at large come and, you know, frustrate the process and try to intervene. So that's also creating some, you know, obstacles in trying to execute justice and trying to make a difference. Yeah, would I be right in saying that?
You're right. I think plenty law start there. Once one person commits a crime, the whole tribe is in that, in the police station. So they try to say, oh, Bambla talk all outside, Bambla give him some big money, Bambla. So they're trying to say there's no law.
That's right.
So a lot of people in Hela need to know the law.
Be educated, yeah.
And even educated people. Even well-educated people. There is law there, but they said no, there's no law in Hela. Probably they need to know the law of Papua New Guinea. So even all big man married to him, need a big school.
Sometimes
Big
we could,
school law.
sometimes we could be using custom as an excuse to, you know, escape some of these things too. We could say
Very
that.
true.
So true. James?
I would like to see two things happen. First, I am seeing there's less investment of government funds from the province as well and as the districts towards developing our people. We have gone down this path. Basic vital service structures have failed. We have also taken our people down that direction. Now, a good thing is we're trying to recover and we are restoring like health, education, there's some effort there. But our people are still down there. We need to take them back. We need investment in that area so people are taken back and people are progressing as well. So people, if we really look at the issues, it's things like anger management, proper communication skills. Yeah. These are the issues that are causing tribal fights. The Tari fight, which is more than 240 something lives, it basically just started over someone buying cigarette and one kina chain shot, and they fought. The whole LLG is deserted.
Wiped out now, yeah.
If people knew how to communicate, understand each other, manage their anger, we would not have a lot of people displaced from that LLG, you know. So in the province, we need to take our people back. Yeah. We know there are funds going into the systems, but we need to seriously get down there. If we cannot utilize the partners there on the ground, let's use the people themselves. They are the victims, they will rise up. Yeah. So we need to move the people back.
So human development is very important.
It's important.
Part of development. It's not only about infrastructure and, you know, other things.
If we are leaving people down there and just going ahead building roads and bridges, they will come back and destroy all of those. We need to take the people with us.
That's right.
And second thing I want to see is a coordinated effort, a strategic approach to peace building in Hela. Everybody is a victim, everybody has a role. I have a role, you have a role, everybody has a role. We all need to be involved, we need to coordinate that so that we know where we were, we are moving forward, we'll assess where we are later, you know, so we need to move. That's the way we want to go. So those are the two things I'd like to see.
Thank you, James. I'll move on to Manu, please. What, you know, as a youth leader in your community, what's the way forward for you?
As a youth advocate in my community, I would like to see a space of youths and women in every household and society in Hela province and South Highlands. We have to give time, we have to give space, and we have to create some avenue for young people to make some decisions, big decisions in our community and in our household. And the other thing that I want to express is empowerment, youth empowerment. We have to invest in our youths. We have to build them, we have to mold them. Time now fight the one we know one very big, we more young one very big. Now you invest loan, you must ready mindset loan. I'm now fight now, violence na because I don't go down.
But drop them now. Thank you. Mary, please.
From
I
merit,
think you have a lot of experience with you know, mediating tribal fights, so we would really like to hear, you know, your recommendations on, you know, how we can better do things.
thank you. From here, I have 5 quick recommendations here. Well, first recommendation, it has to be a bottom-up planning. From the approach that can be taken is what, from the local level, what approach can be developed there. Because we already, at the local level, the council ward, we have a hospital there, we have an elementary school there, we have a schools there, we have a youth there, we have a old people, everyone is there. We don't have to look for people. Making decision for Hela, it's always for them, it's not for us. We will never make a decision for Hela. Making decision for Hela, people always going back from themselves. They will give you where they want to go. They will tell you what they want to do. They will say what we want. First plus something me like himsla, second me like himsla, third me like himsla, fourth me like himsla. Mouse will yet better. We will not develop from them. They will come up with their thoughts, mind, wants, needs, everything they will give them. We will just guide them, facilitate, just simple facilitating, coordinating, And those are our tool and our elements we will be taking, and we will drive forward those people. One, me to get bottom up to the national and bottom up from the council or community. That strategy has to be developed. One, two, we've seen that a lot of people need to be trained and teach them what the values. What is their values? What is my value? What is his value? What is the young boy's values? What is the young girl's values? Mother's values?
Yes.
The values will lead them where they want to go. So, giving them a training. Awareness, education, counseling, it has to be everything, the package has to be done at the council board. So this is the approach we want to go now, Helena. We don't want to go from the government at top. Government are there, you see us and we want to go. But from you, government, I'm challenging you to now. I'm telling you, where you know, and we will come now. This is FSC, or FSC, family and sexual violence there, and this is Hela Marriage Never Give Up. My organization called Hela Marriage Never Give Up because I said I would be my word to drive my people, and even it will take a year, 20 years, 30 years, still I will make sure that my Hela people finish from peace. The ending part of it is peace. And if I have women, men dominated culture, I can demonstrate that peace for my community. Then there's the other people there. They can do it.
Thank you.
If I can't, they can. If I can't, if I say I can't, they can't do it. If I say I can do it, there's a lot of women, a lot of girls, a lot of young. If you have a boy, a guy standing there, it's a woman with birth. We will teach them. Because of the long journey, the time frame between 20 and 2020, at this time frame is a long donkey years. These main services, main tool, main weapons that make a human being, shape a human being has been missed out. And they were disturbed by this new technology that has been came in and interrupt those mindset of a youth. So I'm talking a lot, but I'm to
No,
finish.
it's okay, Barry. I think I'll give you some time to make 1 or 2 points later. But I'll also acknowledge our audience here, and I think our audience online. I'll also give you an opportunity to ask some questions, if you have any, to any of the panel members, or if you also want to make a general statement in regards to what we were talking about while you're thinking about your questions, or if you have any. Nearly 70% of responders. This is another poll survey from from the UN 75 questions given out last year. Nearly 70% of responders from Hela say that people's lives will be better in the future. There is a lot of optimism compared to the national results, which showed less than half of the population believe that we will be better off than we are today. Why do you think people are optimistic about the future? Mary.
I'm triple something yes. Pastor, we feel tired of this. We want to be changed now. Why?
Want to be better.
Better. We got a province you make Pinisia, call you make up Pinisia. Very fertile land and productive, grow you make up Pinisia. What is the challenge? If a small fighting can challenge us, we can challenge the fighters at this time now. You can also hold hands together and challenge a small fight. The fighting is not for everyone.
That's right.
The Savaline will make a run out of Savaline. Illegal, run, you can run the animal law. Minority is causing that problem and giving, guiding us to a wrong direction. But the driver of that human being is a fear. The fear is just taking these people's miles away. So we'll just bring everyone back.
That's right.
And then we have a goal and gas and the land, the productive land, the land we have, it can give us and produce and give us value and varieties of.
Thank you, Mary. James, why do you think people are optimistic about the future that, Hela won't be the same? Hela will be better tomorrow.
I think it's the best time in the history of our new province that we have resources. And we've also suffered a lot, yeah?
Sure.
So it's only people who have suffered a lot will take the lessons learned and try to move forward. So, the time is right. The only issue has been that we have never mobilized well. You know we can acknowledge we are victims, and with that we need to team up and work together. That has been the issue with us. That's the issue I see. If we are able to work together, it's a minority of people who are, getting guns and promoting their own individual issues and causing suffering to us. All of us are victims. It's about time we all say we are fed up. Let's all get the victims together, mobilize, and let's change. And yes, we can, like they say. We can change Hela.
Please, Alice.
Hela, we always say we want peace. We had peace all along. It's just few minority that's causing a lot of nuisance in our community. And we always hope and speak positive about living peacefully. A lot of our people living in the community say, we had enough of this thing, we want peace. We play less finish. It's just few people doing these things, so say it will come a time. It will come a time. And we speak positive all the time, so that's a positivity that people that gave and voice themselves. That's why we said there will come a time when people will say we will live peacefully one day. So and talk
That's the hope. That's the hope.
And talk
And no.
So talk here, man. And come up here.
No.
What they're saying will come.
Emba non abnunguta sol.
That's it. We won't be fighting all the time.
That's right.
So it will come a time when there will be peace. So that's why they say peace, and they have hope that one day Hela will change. So that's a lot of people are speaking that, and only few people are fighting, carrying guns and
That's
robbing
right.
women and children, and fighting in the bush. But you see, the majority of the people, they want peace.
I think
They're saying it themselves. That's why there's peace coming up.
if we can relate, Hela to, some stories, from the Bible. The children of Israelite were in the wilderness for, 40 years. They went through all sorts of suffering, you see. But they eventually, made it into Canaan, the promised land. So it won't always be bad for Hela, We must be optimistic. The poll that said 70% of respondents for Hela said that, they are optimistic that the future for Hela is bright. I think we can all agree to that. We can't live the same way that we are living forever. Tomorrow is always a better day, and that is the hope that we can have. So please, Manu, if you have any last things to say, you can.
Yes, I have some things to add on. Yes, we believe also in but change beyond time. Even one individual one marry. Now let Lapanon, me represent the youth Naziran. You represent the one work blue Naziran. One man marry me play part, blame me, and you change the place, like changing things. Now we look at motion. Some need more some training, some work no government or the work no NGO must at least help him give some school some programs man marry so that open head mindset so that maybe we can prepare change.
Yes.
So we believe was all right.
Thank you. I'll just give 1 minute to Mary to just finish off what he was trying to say, and then we'll go to questions from the audience here and also from our viewers online. If you guys have any questions to any of our panel members.
Thank you. One more change. Our assumption, we are assuming that the change, Hela want change. It's not from the good people. The worries themselves that they want to change. For example, I just interviewed someone from Tari there, and why are you carrying this? How often you saw him like gun or shoulder blame asking? All of my life, me sleep by putilo, like the son by me sleep. Me go toilet to buy me sit down toilet or me sit down canela. Every day me karam sila gun karam and on now body blow cigarette in something.
Heavy now.
Every finish. And I'm asking that I want to ticket now. You better not go and talk. Larval kill Nala Birona. You better not want to. You probably fight, you cigarette to fight them, cigarette gun to buy holy met me. You cigarette gun to buy cigarette in the Then that is the message now. But me less finish. I was one to petrol or one to ban because I'm Katim Slag. Gania. I'm cooking straight name, Matmat Islaman, me become labor plus man. Ghana even stop. So, you know, he's tired business now. That's the worry, is tired of handling a gun business now. The youth is already tired of handling a gun business now. All less business now, all around I want to go here. So, time all got this like tintin now. How can we step into them now? Where can we step in? When can we step into?
How can we assist them?
Assist them.
Move
and
on,
then
yeah.
move with them. Step with them now. To me, I'm waiting for corporate or NGO office now, organization plus stuff here. I'm marriage ready. I have something already here. This this supposed to be, this work is done by a coalition team, Partner Seller Council of Churches, Yap Women Group Tabi, and then I see some coalition local group. We have done this focus group. Our target group was a focus group approach we have taken. We were trying to present to the government. This is only one part of Tagali. On Tagali, LNG Bagarab na mibla working sla. Tinti blow community. Come on, community. People company says could be Bagarab. This number of school has been destroyed. This number of elementary has been destroyed. This number of churches had been destroyed. And now it's gone. What can we do? We just brought the ball back to them. And they give us all the answers. Any means of answers. Any. And then we were trying to throw it back to the government. Government, this is where you can move on with this too. They've never tell us. Government, one of the country factor, we blood forget. It's not you know, step in, I want to make him so you are one of them because. And we blood forget this last. Otherwise, you are there representing us. But we want you to stay with us and drive us, and where we want to go, let us make us move forward now.
So we can say that communities are
Prepared to.
and communities are tired of violence and tribal fights. They want peace.
They're already fine.
Mothers are tired, children are tired, youths are tired.
Warriors
Even the warlords and the warriors who are taking the
tired.
lead are also tired. Okarin Ganlo Soda for the past 10, 20 years now. Gane heavy now. Gane Tanibek now blokaye. Give me mark long all stuff. So even they are tired. So I think the important question now for all of us, both government, NGOs, and everybody who, stakeholders in bringing peace in Hela is concerned. How can we? What's the way forward for that for all of us now? When warlords are tired of fighting, what opportunities do we provide for them moving forward? When mothers and children and families in communities are tired of fighting and they're refugees in other lands, how can we assist them to not go back to their old ways? So these are very important questions, and I think Mary has stressed something that some NGOs in the province have already taken steps in mobilizing themselves and putting documentation together. But the problem is to who do they go to get those answers from, get those assistance from? Is it the government? Or is it the partners? Is it NGOs? Or is it a collaboration of everybody working together to find a solution to ending all of this violence in our community? So I think I am very happy with the discussions that we had. We've basically touched on some of the success stories in the work that each and every one of the panel members have done. Some of the challenges have been highlighted, and obviously we've discussed on the way forward for what we can do. This topic is big. We cannot cover it in this session alone. But hopefully this discussions opens the door for a lot more discussions to come, and hopefully finding lasting solutions to bringing peace in our communities. So please, we'll just have one or two questions. Anybody in the audience, if you have one or two questions that you would like to ask any of the panel members, please, from the front here.
We have a question from Facebook. Carrie wants to know, would increasing incomes affect your peace building efforts? Would that help reduce violence if people were earning more money?
Increase in incomes. If people were engaged in activities that generated income, that improved their standard of living compared to how they are now, would that help in peace building in some of your experiences? James, you are actively involved in some activities that is doing some of those type of work. So what are your experiences on that? And thank you to Kerry for the question.
We need coordinated approach. We need to address issues that are affecting the wider Hela population, not just increasing incomes, because it will help. It will help, but there are those who also need resources to promote violence. When we see tribal fights stop, sometimes it means they have peace. Other times they are needing resources to buy ammunition, yeah, and it pops up again. So it depends whichever way the resource goes to.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alice, from a female perspective, like if females were empowered with some sort of income, if they had resources to improve their lives, would that assist them to maybe even changing the mindset of their husbands and the male population in the communities to go away from violence and more towards peace in communities?
I think it's not the money that can help the community, but it's the mindset of the people. If only a lot of people can change their mindset, then we can live, prosper in whatever they do.
Or whatever
Yeah,
they
so a lot of people now, Hela, we say we're fighting for land. So when we say a lot of people wants to, live and make, money or sustain their living, I think a lot of, if they can have their mindsets changed, then
So
they can live.
So first, people have to change their mindsets.
That's right.
Doesn't matter how much money
Money.
you put into their pockets. If they don't change their mindsets, it will just be the same thing over. But only this time with enough resources to probably escalate the problems. Another question, please.
You spoke about inclusivity of young people, women and girls. Adrian wants to know, how does persons with disabilities factor in to peace building?
Person with disabilities, from your experiences in the communities.
I think,
Yes, Mary.
I think the disabilities that double at times are affected, even triple times. They have their own disabilities in the physical disabilities. When these other fighting other things that social issues affect them, it becomes a triple, double times double effect on what they have.
So, James.
You are coming here. I've been involved in addressing some of the issues, natural and man-made as well, and people with disabilities are the forgotten group of people.
True.
They're forgotten. So when the earthquake happened, they were left behind, and then they would run back to pull them out, sort of. The care for them is not priority. Yeah. And so in a tribal fighting situation, they pretty much don't have a voice, they are not involved. But there are people, they would care for them. I've been also checking in at the Tari hospital last year when I was doing some work, and I realized that we don't have a registry of disabled people in the province. And I know that there are scattered people in our communities who are scattered and who are isolated, living alone there. You can imagine when disaster happens, we don't account for those people.
So even though they have equal human rights as anybody, they seem to be like the forgotten group of people. When disasters or especially tribal fights or violence occurs in communities, they're given second or third preference. So that's also a challenge for each and every one of us to try to address. We'll have one question from the audience.
Thank you. So I've been following the discussion, and it has been very enlightening. I'm a newcomer to Papua New Guinea, and I heard Alice saying the people in this community no longer want to fight, but there are just a few people who are causing trouble. So my question goes back to all the rest of the many people who are tired of fighting, what is their strategy for stopping these few people who are causing the trouble in the province?
Very good. Please, if you can just give your name so we can address you by name, briefly.
I'm Caroline, and I'm the deputy country rep for Young Women.
Thank you very much, Caroline. I think that's a very, very important question. You know, we've said it, we've seen it. People are tired of, you know, tribal fights and, you know, violence in our communities, and we've also acknowledged that it's only a minority of people who are doing those problems. Why is it that the majority of the community find it hard to oppose these people? Is it because they are overpowered, or, you know, from your experiences?
Basically, that's what I said. You know, we are choosing to be victims. We remain silent. We withdraw, yeah, and we allow a few to dominate and control, yeah, and that is why violence has been continuing. You know, like I'm one guy who's left a good, well-paid job to be volunteer here in the community, and you know, we need more volunteers in Hela. Where are you guys? You know, where are you people? We're gonna continue to let them terrorize us and, you know, like dictate to us how we live, and where are all the educated people who are, you know, thinking it's unsafe here and moving out? Oh, come on, we have educated people living here, you know. The majority is just giving up to those few on the streets who are taking drugs, swearing, and then promoting violence, yeah? And they're threatening and intimidating you, and, you know, your women and children are not safe. They are harassed, yeah? And we just accept that. Why are we accepting that? That's the bigger challenge to us, you know. It's not the whole population of Hela that's involved in tribal fights. Maybe we should go back home and, you know, you should look at your activities. How are you promoting gender violence? How are you promoting tribal fights? How are you fueling that alcohol issue? Yeah. How are you promoting that all the issue, and, you know, you start withdrawing your involvement there, and that's already peace building happening right there with you. Yeah. Like Mother Teresa said, you know, you want to change the world, you want to love the world, go back home and love your family.
Change yourself.
Yeah. Go back home right now to your own families. We go back to our own families. You start with yourself, in your own family. We can change Hela.
So James, I think if I can add here, it's our attitude towards the minority that's causing those problems. When we start parading them around like heroes in the community, and we start giving them those tags like warlords, they feel like warlords. So they start acting like warlords, you know? So it's our attitude to the minority, and when we start, you know, treating them like, you know, something special in the communities, then they take advantage of that. And, you know, like back in the day, if you made human logo trouble, and everybody puts you out in the public, you know, they isolate you because they don't want, you know, kind trouble lo kam lo place lo. Now I'm sending come lo Hela lo you meet okay, you may come up with more lo small hero, yeah. So although all feel lo small some line, you know, so it's our attitude towards them that's making them continue to do what they do. That, you know, that's just one example that I've seen on my part. So, Mary, if you have something to say on that question.
For me, one of the things that every sectional or divisional department is not functioning well. According to the structure that has been displayed, you can play your own roles there. Everyone is not in the system to help those people. Anyone want to come to and see you, we don't see those people there. So let's try and maintain, revive, and restore. If you went to law and policy, you see that policeman lab, see that good law police. Okay, me cancel, me must cancel such a way that diploma some must not. So me, I play you see that education, I was 70 like client come happy. Then is that all those people that need us, all need me plan. We don't need them all. They need us. So we have to poison ourselves with the system making, structure ourselves in the system making. They will come. They're prepared to come.
Good.
When we start something else, they're already there to start off.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Please, if we can move on with Oh, you wanna, please?
Now when these warlords are, let free, nobody wants to say anything to them. So if a woman is being raped just there, they don't want to be involved.
Warlord.
Yeah, that he might come and attack my family and myself again. So I don't want to be, involved. That's what everyone is saying here. They're just being
Out of fear.
out of fear. I don't want to be attacked again. My family, I don't want to be attacked again. So it's okay. She can be raped, or she can be murdered there, or he can be, be, violated there.
As long as
You
it's
know.
not happening to me,
Yeah,
I'll
it's
keep
not
quiet.
yeah. So they're just protecting themselves and their families. And if the tribes, if they have a businessman or someone who's leader in that community, they protect, just themselves. So if you don't have a son or you don't have someone that can protect you, you're vulnerable.
Very true.
So just like saying, mind your own business, we mind
Thank
our
you.
own business. So
Thank you, Alice. Very true.
yeah.
Very true. My own business.
Very true.
That's what's happening. And if the police goes in there and if the army goes in there and say, oh, what happened? Nobody wants to say something. They're just shutting up. So we don't know.
Thank you, Alice. I
So how
think
can the
we've
police army go in there and arrest that person or try to help the other person? Nobody wants to help. That's what's happening here. So that's why with the warlords, as, being treated as heroes.
some of the topics that we've covered, in the past 1 hour are very, very important topics that are close to our heart. We could spend days on end, talking about this particular topic, and we would still not reach the end. So, in the interest of time, I'd like to say thank you to the panel members for your discussions. You guys have shared some, very, very valuable insights on the work that you're doing, the challenges that you're facing, and more importantly, the way forward on how best we could improve our communities and societies, and on the bigger picture, bring peace to our communities. So, Hela is not the same as it is now or as it was in the past. It can be better. I will now give time to the UN resident coordinator who is here with us, Mr. Gianluca Rompola, just maybe for a brief remark, and if you would like to say something regarding
I'll
this.
do like this. Anyway, you must have seen me as I was coming. No, stay there. I'll sit here. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm not going to break the flow. I mean, you've said it all, and there's nothing I can really add, apart from maybe thanking you, Manu, Mary, James, Alice, and of course you, Amos. I'm sure that if we were to be able to have all of the people of Hela listen to this live event that we broadcasted, and then we were to take that survey again, probably that 70% of optimists would become 90%.
100.
Because you are the hope of this province. You are the peace champions, the peace builders. And as you, there are many others that are ready to drive this province to its future through peace and development. And the only thing that we can do is to help your leadership to convene. So as you were asking, ensure that everyone can come together, talk, coordinate better, provide you a platform as we're doing today for you to speak up and make sure that those that are in fear are not in fear because they don't feel alone anymore, and they can rally with all of you for the good of this province. We can help you by bringing in global expertise to support your expertise, because it's you that are going to change this province, no one else. Facilitate other partners coming on board to support you and the leaders of this province, so that you can achieve your own objectives through peace and development. So I really can't add much more than this, and really appreciate what you do. And I am keen follower on social media of a number of you. You know James, and one of the biggest followers you have. And thanks really to everyone. I think they deserve an applause. This is the first of a series of public dialogues we will have in the run-up to the celebration of the 75th anniversary of the creation of the United Nations. In the next week alone, we will have live stream events from WIWAC, from Buka, from Port Moresby, on climate action, on good governance, on gender-based violence, on food security. So we are looking forward for many more events to come, many more followers to follow us live. And this is an example of dialogues happening where the most is meaningful. We are in Tari, we are sitting in front of a holy man. And I'm sorry for the noise before, but because we are exposed to the elements, we are out here, the rain affected us a bit, but not too much. Thanks again, and back to you, Amos, for closing.
Thank you very much, RC. Thank you very much, UNRC. Thank you to all our audience, both here in Hope Institute in Tari, Hela province. Thank you to all our listeners who have tuned in through live coverage, through our media platforms and through FB. It has been wonderful having you as audience, and a big thank you to our panel members. I think your experiences that you have shared have been, very valuable for all of the stakeholders to take note of, and all of us to find solutions moving forward as to how we can best help our communities and maintain peace in our communities. I got nothing more to say, but to say that Hela will definitely never be the same again. That is something that we can all be optimistic about. So thank you very much. This is the first of many dialogues in the next couple of months that we've been having, but this is the first one in Tari, and we are happy to have hosted this meeting. And I wish you all God's blessing, and good afternoon to you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.